Welcome, fellow travelers. It's Mickey Gold. So, today I'm going to talk about anxiety. Now, when I talk about anxiety, I want you to know that I realize there are many forms of anxiety, and I'm giving my experience from my personal dealing with it, and also dealings with clients and students and people who have talked to me over the years about anxiety. Now, I used to hide my anxiety. Years ago, you would have never got me on video talking about anxiety because the way I was brought up, it was not okay to be anxious or to be sensitive. Those were things that really, if someone found out, there were certain members of my family, if they found out that you had those sensitivities, they would make your life really tough and really rough because they wanted to toughen you up. Put a little hair on your chest, which was always kind of a weird saying, I thought. However, that's kind of the mentality. So if you experience stuff like that, like I did, you may have hid it from everybody, even yourself. Because the thing is with anxiety, it's prolonged. Now, there's times when anxiety is just acute, when it's just starting, that there's situational anxiety. So you can be, diagnosed with situational anxiety, which means just in that moment, of course, everybody feels anxiety. And you might not know that you felt anxiety normal. Now, everybody reacts, even if you have anxiety, everybody reacts to anxiety producing situations differently. So, for instance, right now, if you live on the west coast of the United States, you might be feeling anxiety whether you have anxiety or not, because you might be breathing in smoke. And so what that does is that triggers our hindbrain. And our hindbrain, or our reptilian brain, is the part of the brain that is only solely focused on your survival. It doesn't care if you have arms, it doesn't care if you have legs, it doesn't care about anything but preserving your basic keeping you alive. This is the thing that when people say, I didn't realize my leg was broken, I just got out of there, or I didn't realize I was shot, or the woman that picks a Buick up off a kid, they're just doing it. Or, you can have it where it takes you through injuries and it doesn't matter that you're injured. You normally shouldn't be able to function, or you shouldn't be able to lift a Buick. But that part of your brain, because it's only meant for that. It's meant for getting you out of the way, getting you safe, and then being done with it. So animals, for instance, if you're a deer and someone shoots at you and you're running through the forest and you finally know that you're clear, deers will do some sort of physical movement to shake off that stress. They don't carry around, the rest of the day, they're like, oh, that deer, or that hunter, the hunter, like the rest of us would. If we had a gun in our face, or if we were being shot at and we had to run for our lives, most of us would have just shaken it off and then go back to grazing and doing your thing. However, animals have that ability because they're still back there, and they didn't add this. They didn't add that part of our brain that it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because the part of the brain that helps trap anxiety into us is that conscious brain that makes meanings that it really doesn't need to. It's like, we survived it, we're done, is where it should. Of course, if someone's shooting at you, of course, that's different. But for a lot of things, we have that, I survived it, we're done. But no, we talk to this person and this person and this person, and then we wait 4 weeks and we talk about it some more, and then after 4 weeks we have PTSD, and then we have major anxiety disorder, and all these different things going on with us. Now, and you might have seen with your dogs, like if your dogs have a tense moment between each other or some other dog, or, when they're not acting themselves, when they're in that moment of like, and then all of a sudden they'll stop and they'll shake, kind of like dogs do when they're wet. They do that shaking thing. That is them releasing that and just going back to, hey. Now, however, animals can get some of our anxiety, our depression, whatnot. I know quite a few people who have dogs on anti-anxiety medication, or depressive medication, and that's because of us, and that's because of it being exposed to us. However, in their natural way of living, they let it go and they don't hold on, and we hold on. And yes, there's good things to hold on. I mean, see, animals do hold on to certain aspects. They know the smell of man. They know the smell of gunpowder. They know the smell of this. They know the smell of that. That means next time they aren't going to do that. Same thing with sickening, things that have sickened them. If they've eaten that, a lot of animals won't go back and do it again unless they're usually our domestic animals. Then they've actually, because we take care of them so well, again, their hindbrain doesn't have to go into fight or flight because they don't have to go tear apart something for food or, chew on something dead, and, they get taken care of. Now, for ourselves, here's the deal. When that smoke kicks in and that hindbrain goes, and if you've had years of burying your anxiety, you might not even know those instincts are there. You might just feel panic, but you know what that panic would have been? Normally, way back in the day, those would have been feet running. You would have been running from something, and then you would have been like, you survived. And you move on, or you find a new place to live, or whatever the case may be. We don't do that in this society. And not that you should just go running and freaking out. I mean, that should not be how we deal with everything. However, because we haven't trained ourselves to do that shaking off bit, we store it as anxiety. Now, anxiety is problematic because it just shreds our immune system. Because you cannot constantly, it's like if you took a rubber band and you constantly had it pulled to its max, eventually that rubber band is going to lose its elasticity, it's going to lose its ability to hold itself together, and it's going to snap at some point. Or you're going to get super tired, because you probably get tired before it snapped. However, eventually it ruins stuff. If you keep something so tight all the time, it ruins things. They have people doing meditation and yoga for all different sorts of things. If you have high blood pressure, if you have this, if you have that, because we have anxiety and stress. And again, we push it down. So we don't go, oh my gosh, I'm feeling stressed out about the fire. It's, I think I need an extra cookie, or maybe I should go buy something, or I feel uncomfortable. Maybe I should move. Maybe I should, when we have stress, we deal with it in any way, but going, you know what? My hindbrain's screaming, and you know what? I'm worried that I'm going to die. Because when you smell smoke in the air, that's something that we should really, I know it's going to take a long time before the smoke clears up in a lot of places, but really that is something that we really don't want to lose our anxiety. We want that to, wake us up. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you're smelling smoke and it's not under this scenario right now, you want your system. This is when you want your hindbrain to be working. However, when you are safe distance from the fire, what do we do? Again, we don't want to turn it off, because that's what's causing the anxiety, is because we keep ignoring. Now, normally, if I was your trainer, or if I was your hypnotherapist, if I was counseling or coaching you, I would suggest that if you were super stressed out and you were in good shape, I would suggest that you go hit cardio hard, whatever hard meant for you. Just wear yourself out, because sometimes when we have anxiety, you can reset your switch. You can just burn it out in a positive way and set your switch. And during high anxiety, especially during times like this, it's hard to say, go meditate, because even if you are an experienced meditator, sometimes in anxious times like this, like I said, your hindbrain's going, and this is really something that, again, we don't want to disconnect the smell of fire and be like, yeah, it's fine, too much. But we want to be able to live with it right now, with the situation we have. So what I would suggest to you is yes, move. And the reason that I'm saying no hard cardio is because we don't know, especially if houses have burned, we do not know what chemicals are being released into the air. So you have no clue what you've been breathing in. So yes, ideally we normally want to scrub our lungs and exhale it all out. However, that might not be the most problematic part of the smoke, what it's doing to your lungs. There can be stuff that can upset your balance in how your body distributes oxygen via your red blood cells. There are some chemicals, there are some gases that can disrupt your red blood cells, and your red blood cells are what produce oxygen. And if you don't got enough oxygen going through, it can cause severe problems, brain damage. Not saying that you're going to damage your brain. However, you don't know. So even if your gym's got a HEPA filter, still take it easy. Because you've been other places that, unless you've been surrounded by a HEPA filter all day and you're good to go, take it easy. This is not time to beat ourselves up. Our body, even if you are not an anxious person, your body is going through something because your hindbrain is getting a whiff of that smoke. If you can smell that smoke, there is stuff going on in your body that we need to be loving towards. So yes, do gentle cardio, maybe do some yoga and some Tai Chi. Again, if you already do these things, this is not the time to take up yoga because you're only gonna stress yourself out. So in times like this, again, some of the panic attack stuff might work if you're having a really hard time. However, what I would suggest to you right now, because this is not normal times, this is times when we take certain little cheats. We sleep in. If it's safe, sleep in. Give yourself as much sleep or go to bed early. If you're on the couch at 8 o'clock and you're just like, I am beat, go to bed. Don't worry about it. Do your dishes tomorrow. If you need to eat a little bit more, go for it. You know, of course, if you're having cravings for something totally decadent, find the best version of that, the most healthiest version. But it's time to be kind to yourself. It's not time to beat yourself up for like, I'm not working out, I'm going to lose all the... No, this is not the time for gains. This is the time for maintaining ourselves and being good to ourselves. Because if you have anxiety running through you, let me tell you, it's like running a marathon inside your body. And you're in need of really taking care of yourself. Of course, fresh water, as much fresh water as you can take. Make sure though, if you go past what you normally drink water-wise, that you add an electrolyte, or you can use mixes, or you can just buy a bottle of Sportade or Gatorade or whatever. Any of them work fine, but you want to make sure, because you can overdo on the water, but making sure that you're drinking as clear of water as you can, making sure you're eating as good and healthy of food as you can. However, if these things are your stressors and you're normally like, I'm trying to eat better, and you're going to beat yourself up with it, then eat however you need to eat. Love yourself, listen to yourself. You know, this might not be the time, depending on your situation with water, this might not be the time I normally would say, take a nice bath. Maybe hold up on that, just because you might be in an area where they need the water. So, you know, conserve as much water as you can and don't stress. I know that sounds stupid, but seriously, you are not alone. We've spent years of our lives, most of us, who have anxiety, and this is a time that you should feel anxious. This is normal. It's just a matter of, okay, the other thing that you can be doing, and we've talked about this on several different occasions, is grounding. Make sure you're grounding. Imagine those feet into the earth. Grounding. So I've gone on for quite some time, and for those of you who like short videos, I completely apologize. And for those who like longer videos like myself, you're welcome. All right, until we meet again, peace, love, namaste.